How's it going, you guys? So over the past couple months I've been talking about carbohydrates and their place in a healthy diet, whether they're necessary or not, and what I believe are healthy carbohydrate sources, or why you should or shouldn't eat carbohydrates, or certain carbohydrates may actually trigger autoimmune symptoms, etc., etc. And I'm constantly asked by my subscribers what carbohydrate sources are healthy if someone is to choose to eat carbohydrates. And that's a great question. I actually developed something that I call the healthy carbohydrate hierarchy, where I have multiple tiers, multiple levels of carbohydrate foods, from healthiest to least healthiest. And so in this video, I'm going to be just giving a general outline of this system so that people have a better idea of my views on healthy carbohydrate foods. So obviously carbohydrates can be a major part of a healthy diet. Obviously you can see that if you look at the blue zones and centenarians in any healthy population of people. Another great example is what was his name? Jack LaLanne. Jack LaLanne, who ate a high fruit and vegetable diet for most of his life, lived to be 96 years old, and died in his home gym in his routine 2-hour workout from pneumonia, because he felt like he could outwork pneumonia without going to the hospital. And so the right types of carbohydrate foods can definitely promote health and longevity. So without further ado, here is my healthy carbohydrate hierarchy. So I rank carbohydrates in tiers based on their overall net benefit. This takes into account nutrient density, bioavailability, antinutrient content, digestibility, and glycemic load. Tier 1, fruits, okay? Berries are the best fruits to consume in my opinion. They have the lowest glycemic load, the highest fiber content, and they are the overall they have the most nutrients compared to non-nutrient, like, carbohydrates. So net carb to nutrient ratio is very beneficial in regards to berries. Now keep in mind things like tomatoes, avocados, and bananas are considered berries. I personally believe bananas are an excellent source of nutrients, but they're very high in glycemic load compared to the other fruits. And so people who might have diabetes or who are overweight might benefit from limiting or avoiding bananas, at least in the short term. But I personally believe bananas are a great source of nutrients. They're very easy to digest, and they're a great high carb source for people who choose to eat a high carb diet. And they are a berry, although the best berries to consume are going to be blueberries, cherries, grapes, or not grapes, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. You get the picture. Tomatoes, I believe, are considered a berry, but they are a nightshade vegetable, and I'll be explaining more about nightshade vegetables here as the video goes along. Berries, great. They're the best fruit to consume. So also citrus are next on the list. Melons are next after citrus. Stone fruit, and all the other fruits, okay, in that order. So tier 1 is fruits: berries, citrus, melons, stone fruit, and then all others in that order. Fruits are high in nutrients, they're lower in glycemic load, they have a higher fiber content and lower concentration of overall net carbs, and they have the least pathogenic response on insulin and blood sugar levels in most individuals, and they are the most universally tolerated amongst most humans. Virtually no significant anti-nutrients, because fruits generally want to be eaten so humans can poop out their seeds. That's the main reason why a lot of plant foods cause problems in many people. Now keep in mind, there seems to be a significant difference in individual responses to varying carbohydrate foods. There's a wide variety of studies showing this. Really great overall resource to get you all up to speed on this concept of individual glycemic response to different carbs, depending on the person, would be the book Wired to Eat by Rob Wolf. It's an amazing book that goes over the biochemistry and individual glycemic responses to varying foods. So, Tier 2, tubers, bulbs, and root vegetables. So that would include carrots, onions, ginger, leeks, potatoes, yams, etc. They're high in nutrient density. They're generally well digested amongst most humans, although not nearly as well digested as fruits. And when cooked, they can be low in anti-nutrients, okay? The only exception is true potatoes due to their solanine content. Maybe I'm mispronouncing or misspelling that word, but solanine is an anti-nutrient found in nightshade vegetables that can contribute to pains in the joints and muscles and are a primary trigger for arthritis. I personally choose not to consume nightshade vegetables because of this reason. I notice this, like a significant increase in my pains when I consume nightshades, and when I remove them completely from my diet, I can train hard in jiu-jitsu and powerlifting consecutively for 5 to 6 days with no rest and experience no pains at all. So if you have a tendency towards pains and things, remove nightshades from your diet. So that includes all true potatoes, okay? Sweet potatoes of all kinds and yams are actually not nightshades, and they do not cause the same problems. So sweet potatoes and yams and anything that's not part of the potato family, sweet potatoes are not real potatoes. They are fine to eat. But potatoes, they are a nightshade vegetable. They can cause arthritis and pains and autoimmunity. Other nightshade plants would be ashwagandha, goji berry, peppers of all kinds, and then tomatoes, obviously. And you can look up what would constitute a nightshade and what would not, because there's a wide variety. Some, like ashwagandha and goji, most people don't even realize are nightshades. And a lot of people don't know that sweet potatoes are not actually potatoes. It's very important when we're talking about their effects on health and autoimmunity, because sweet potatoes are not a part of the nightshade vegetable. So, again, Tier 2, tubers, bulbs, and root vegetables includes carrots, onions, gingers, leeks, potatoes, yams. So, high in nutrient density, easy to tolerate, easy on digestion. If you cook them enough, most of their anti-nutrients will be devoid of effects, okay? They'll be degraded in the heat. Tier 3, beans, nuts, seeds, legumes, lentils, quinoa, etc. These are high in nutrients, but they're also very high in anti-nutrients. They're generally hard to digest for most people, which, is one of the reasons why we have that song, Beans, Beans, the more you toot, the magical fruit, or whatever. It's because they're hard to digest for most people that they had to turn them into a song. They tend to cause autoimmune symptoms. Soaking, sprouting, fermenting, and cooking or roasting, in regards to nuts and seeds, tend to neutralize the anti-nutrient content to some degree and makes them easier to digest. But many people have trouble digesting these, and they tend to cause autoimmune symptoms, even if you sprout them, soak them, and cook them long enough. So they're very low on the glycemic load and highest in fiber, but they can cause gut issues both in the short term and the long term for many people. So these are ones you got to exercise caution with, and if you don't really experience any debilitating side effects, they could be a healthy source of nutrients if prepared properly for most people. And keep in mind, anti-nutrients are not something you're going to really notice too much. They have protease inhibitors and mineral chelators that will typically hinder the absorption and assimilation of both protein and minerals, vitamins and minerals. So on paper, these beans, nuts, and seeds might be high in nutrients, but when actually absorbed into the bloodstream and into the body, they might actually have an overall net negative of nutrients due to the anti-nutrient content. Tier 4 is whole grains, brown rice. So it's whole grains: brown rice, oats, amaranth, barley, wheat, etc. These tend to trigger autoimmune symptoms for many people, especially gluten-containing grains like wheat, barley, etc. They're hard to digest, and they're the lowest in nutrient density or in nutrient availability of all. Okay, they're the highest in anti-nutrients, so they are probably the lowest in nutrient availability and hardest to digest out of all of these. They're the highest in glycemic load, despite their fiber content and other things. And they're not even really worth eating, in my opinion. They have an overall net negative. Soaking, sprouting, and fermenting tends to decrease anti-nutrients to a degree, but not nearly enough to offset some of the gut issues these can cause for many people. Gluten and gliadin containing grains are the worst. So it's not just gluten that can cause gut dysbiosis and deterioration of the gut lining, but gliadin as well. Some people think they have gluten sensitivity when in reality they actually are reacting to gliadin protein found in these grains. But these are obviously better than refined grains, but they're the worst out of all the whole food carb sources. Tier 5, refined grains and isolated sugar in all forms. I probably don't even need to really explain this one. The three worst problems with these are the highest potential to create endogenous advanced glycation end products, which typically contribute to cancer and heart disease. They're the highest in glycemic load, which also contributes towards those diseases. They have zero nutrients, and in intervention trials that compare whole food diets to refined food diets without brushing, the whole food diet group, and both groups actually had periodontal disease, gum disease. The whole food diet group without brushing experienced a regression in their gum disease, whereas the refined food diet experienced significant continuation of their gum disease. So it contributes to dental disease as well. You read more about that by reading Nourishing Diets by Sally Follen or Weston Price's work. So with that, I will leave you. I'm going to go over there and check on my sizzling beef. Leave your questions and comments down below. I'll be happy to clarify and answer any questions you might have in a future video or in a comment section. You can talk to me for personal health consultations. Just make sure you follow me on Instagram at Wolfgang Lozana. Send me a private message, and I will get back to y'all very, very soon.